Karen Bonafilio, Inner Realms, Outer Journeys. Welcome, everyone. I have an amazing guest today. I'd like to introduce you to Shelly Wilson. Shelly, would you like to say hello to the audience?
Yes. Hello, everyone. And hello, Karen.
Oh, yes. I've been waiting for this day to talk to you. I'm going to tell you, Shelly's got a lot going on. So let me tell you a little bit about her. She is an intuitive medium, a Reiki Master, a life coach, an author, and inspirational speaker. And you know what? She's even been here to Portland to share her expertise. She has the innate ability to meet people where they are while offering a tailored approach intended to bolster their own connection to spirit. So all of you that are on the fence, kind of waffling, whether you want to learn some stuff, this might be the lady for you. She illuminates each person's unique soul key and help individuals reignite their spark. I love that. While reminding them of the power that they behold. During classes and private sessions, she creates a space for empowered transformation and provides practical, actionable tools. So far, so good. But wait, there's more. She has written 4 books, 28 Days to a New You, Connect to the You Within, Journey into Consciousness, and Embracing the Magic Within. And you can get those in paperback or you can get them in an eBook. And she also created clarity cards. Kind of like that. And I'll let her explain. But my guess is when you want to get clear on something, you pull a card and you're going to get your answer. She lives in Oklahoma. She has a BS in business and a minor in psychology. In addition, she has been tested as a medium and certified by Mark Ireland and is also listed as a provider for helping parents heal. Ooh, a nonprofit organization dedicated to assisting parents whose children have passed. I want to ask you about that nonprofit too, for sure.
Yes.
So, God, so many things that are swirling in my mind. Well, first, Shelly, tell us about, and ignore my dogs, everyone. I'm trying to. Shelly, tell us about your journey. How did it start? How did you discover your gifts?
Yeah, so I've always known things. I've been sensitive to energies, and I was raised here in Oklahoma. Of course, my dad is a civil engineer, and I was raised in the Baptist faith. So I wasn't necessarily raised in an environment where it was cultivated. The spiritual development was nurtured, but it wasn't until, of course, I got a bit older, my late teens, early 20s, late 20s, early 30s. Everything seems to go in cycles where I really began exploring more. And then it wasn't until I was in my late 30s, this was 2008 to be precise, that Reiki came into my awareness. And then I became attuned to Reiki, began practicing it and teaching it. And then that really helped to heighten my intuitive, psychic, and mediumistic abilities. And the rest, shall we say, is history. Because really? Here I am now working as a medium. I prefer the word intuitive over psychic, but I love assisting people on this journey into consciousness.
Okay, so you prefer intuitive, but that means you are a psychic.
Yes.
And a medium. Okay, so you can connect with loved ones and spirits.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Connect to us here intuitively, psychically, energetically, and then, of course, make connections to those in spirit.
Okay. Yeah, Oklahoma, that's kind of Bible Belt, isn't it, back there?
It is, yes.
Yeah, that's considered Bible Belt. So, well, were you able to well, you took the Reiki, and I'm not sure how that you came across that, but were there resources back there for you, people to help you grow your spirituality?
Yeah, so I had a reading with someone in Overland Park, Kansas. It was over the phone. I'd been searching for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And after or during the reading, she shared things with me. This was over the phone, so she was reading me clairvoyantly. And, she talked about my tremors because I've had essential tremors since I was a teenager. And she was talking about healing. And then she brought up Reiki. And right away, I was like, oh, I want to explore that. And of course, she happened to also teach and attune others to Reiki. So that really lit that spark. And what I found from Reiki too is that it is a means to help us to grow in our spirit. I tell my students now that Reiki is first and foremost for us, those people choosing to become attuned to it. And then it creates a ripple throughout our life. It helps us to clear out that energetic clutter, anything that's not healthy for us, and helps us to grow in our courage and our empowerment.
I never thought of it that way. That's really cool.
Yes.
Oh gosh. Okay. Well, the other day one of my friends wasn't feeling well, and she's going to Hawaii, and I connected her with someone who does Reiki, and she was amazed. She was amazed, and it was remotely too. It was
Yes.
not in person. It was remotely because
Yes.
that gal lives in Arizona, and here we are in Oregon. So that put you on your adventure. So you didn't have any epiphany of, seeing spirit or anything like that. That
I
was not.
sensed, that was my strongest ability, is being clairsentient. I had a lot of things I was experiencing once again through my teenage years and young adult, and was diagnosed with epilepsy. I would have migraines. I have the tremors.
Oh my God.
And it wasn't until later, of course, that I put it together that these neurological symptoms had a lot to do with my abilities, the sensitivity to energies. And now
Oh.
the clairsentience is one of my strongest gifts. I am clairvoyant and clairaudient, and I just know things, but I have to go first and foremost with being able to feel the energies, picking up the energies of others as well as those that have transitioned.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's very cool. I'm still blown away by the Reiki. So tell me about the process that you use when you're going to connect with spirit. And you can maybe connect with this one and tell her to be quiet.
Absolutely. Well, I know our fur babies, they absolutely can sense energies, and
Yep.
barking is a way that they communicate, they express themselves. So, sometimes the more that we just roll with it and not get irritated, because then if we get irritated, then they can feel that energy and
Yep.
and then they communicate that back to us as well. So I just know just doing our best to be calm and present is helpful. But what I find is, as I'm connecting, whether I'm connecting to someone psychically, energetically, and tuning in, I like people just to relax, take that big deep breath as I tune into them. And then also when I'm making those connections to those that have transitioned, it's really three-way communication, because I, as the
Yeah.
channel or the medium, the communicator, the one that's in spirit, and then, of course, the person that is here to receive the message. We often refer to them as the sitter. So all of those beings affect this communication. And sometimes those in spirit communicate very well. And sometimes, of course, they carry their personality with them, and they may be a bit reserved or hesitant to share a lot, especially with someone they don't know.
Oh, so spirits that you don't know will come into your readings too?
Well, what tends to happen is, yes, that's possible, especially in a group type setting. There may not be someone there that can claim their
Oh.
person. But what I find, Karen, is most often people just don't remember, when they are in that space of listening and hearing and remembering the information coming through. That's why I invite people to record it and listen to it later, because they're in a different state and they're not trying to hear everything. They can have that time to pause and see what comes back to them.
Okay, so you do group gatherings, and
As well as in person or Zoom one-on-one as well.
I remember being in a group setting once, and there were three mediums that were delivering messages,
Uh-huh.
and someone came through, and they were drawn to the part of the room where I was. It wasn't resonating with me.
Mm-hmm.
And then my two girlfriends are nudging me. And then I'm thinking, okay, who is this? And then I figured out who it was. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yes.
And they, that's a great idea to record.
Yes. Yeah, it
Yeah.
just helps us. And, as I said, we're in that state of hearing, of listening, and
Mhm.
of remembering. And, whenever you go with someone else, it's perfect to do that because actually they can help because they're also in a different state. We're more of the observer in those situations too.
Yeah, I had no clue. And I thought, why are you hitting me? And and then actually that was my first time in a group setting, and then the gal became a really good friend, and I started taking classes with her and everything. It was a nice beginning. It was
Yes.
a nice begin. Well, it really wasn't a beginning, but it was a nice a time with her. Yeah. So I didn't know you did that. That's very cool. Do you ever have skeptics?
Yes, of course. And this is why evidence is so important that when we make connections to those in spirit, that we bring forth information that is undeniable, that helps the person who is receiving the message recognize that this is truly their loved one. Providing healing and beneficial messages is wonderful, but we also want to provide the evidence that we really have them. I just actually did a group reading at
Mhm.
Unity Center of Tulsa yesterday after the service. And I was
Oh,
just
wow.
channeling the information as it was coming through. And at the end, I was wrapping up a person and I said, your daughter is acknowledging swans. And of course, I can read swans a different way. I may think of them as these beautiful birds that they mate for life. I can think of the yin yang, the black and white. And then
Mhm.
she's like, Shelly, I totally know. I was just at the park this morning walking her dog, and the dog started chasing some swans. And, I hollered out her daughter's name, getting confused with the dog's name. And she immediately sensed that. And I said, oh, we have to say that, this was your beautiful daughter letting you know that, because it was like almost came to me at the very end. And I said, I'm supposed to talk about swans. I'm supposed to mention that. And so, that was undeniable evidence that her daughter was there with her that morning, of course, as she was talking to her and thinking about her.
That's beautiful story. That's a beautiful story.
And, there'll be skeptics that say, well, swans are at water, bodies of water, this and that, so there's going to be people that want to pick apart that information. And
Oh,
I totally get it. But you also have to think of all the possible things that would have been said in that moment. That's what came through. That's what I was supposed to share.
exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah. Do you have any other interesting stories like that to share? I imagine you have a lot. I don't mean to put you on the spot.
Absolutely. I'm sure there will be some that come into my awareness in a moment. Yeah, because sometimes it comes in spurts like that. But of course, that was fresh. But one thing I want to remind people too, Karen, is that we all have the ability to connect with our loved ones. That the more that we trust the mind to mind, soul to soul communication, that they impress upon us, they give us thoughts and words and images and memories coming to us. And the more that we receive them and recognize them, we're going to feel that connection. And they send signs to us all the time. It can be those animal messengers, the number sequences, it can be the cloud formations, the pennies from heaven, the song lyrics, and so on. And I know that the more that we walk in awareness and tune in, and not in an obsessive compulsive way, but in a way that feels natural, it is so healing and so beneficial too.
Shelly, you just said something. You might want to use this tagline that you just said, walk in awareness.
Yes.
And that's huge because people ignore or they don't look and they say, why aren't you contacting me? Why aren't you sending me signs? When all the time they are doing that too.
Absolutely.
But they're not
Absolutely.
walking in awareness. That's a good tagline. That could be your next book.
And what I think what happens too is, sometimes people are grieving very deeply. And it's really hard, to be in that state of awareness because they feel such heaviness with that too. So this is why I encourage people to really recognize how possible it is to communicate with their loved ones.
I have been told that if someone passes that you're really close to, not to connect right away. But I don't know if I entirely agree with that, because when I lost my family members, my husband came in right away, and it was comforting getting those messages from him. What are your thoughts on
Well, my thoughts are it's a courtesy. If we can give people space, I believe that when people cross over, that they go through that life review process, that they get to experience life through their lens, and then they get to experience life through everyone else's lens. So we're just giving them that time to go through that life review. And really, what I believe too is that that pause is for those here that are grieving. And if those people want to come through and they want to connect, they absolutely will. But I think about, sometimes just allowing the energy to feel settled, to feel calm, can be very helpful too. But it absolutely is possible.
Okay, because sometimes it's really hard to reach that when the grief is so deep.
Absolutely.
The loss is so much. Yeah. Sorry, my mind went off on that for a minute.
Yeah. And I know, as I said, I work with parents and siblings as part of the organization Helping Parents Heal. And this organization was actually founded by Elizabeth Boyson and Mark Ireland. And it was based in Phoenix, Arizona. It has now expanded and it's global. There's many affiliate groups and specialty groups based on what others choose to create. Sometimes it's a location, and sometimes it's also with how people have transitioned. And so feeling very blessed to be an approved provider, meaning that I've had to go through testing to be able to do that. So they want to make sure that people are credible and that people, of course, are very mindful of how we approach these sessions also.
Now, tell me more about those sessions. So is that where you show up, or you can Zoom, or you find a chapter in your area?
All of the above, actually. Yes. Yeah, you can go to their website, helpingparentsheal.org. And they also have a Facebook group that is private, and then they have different affiliate groups. But there's so many resources, and they do believe in afterlife communication and that their children are still right here. So they encourage that. There's many well-known mediums, such as Maureen Hancock and Suzanne Giesemann, and also his name evaded me. I think of the psychic explorer, and I can't think of his last name. Mark has left me. But anyway, you can go to their website. They do a conference biannually, so every 2 years. And the next one's going to be in August of 2026. And this is held in Phoenix, Arizona.
So you'll be heading there.
Mark Anthony. His name came to me. Mark Anthony. Yes.
I could see the face, but I couldn't remember the name.
Dark hair, curly hair, typically in blue, and his last name was not coming through.
Yeah, it just didn't. Okay. Say that again, because it's not written down, because people are going to want. Oh, Helping Parents Heal. Is that what it's called?
Yes, helpingparentsheal.org. And they also have Helping Siblings Heal. And on their YouTube channel, they post the videos for the main group. So, different areas will meet in person, but they also have Zoom meetings regularly. Typically, there is a gallery reading a couple of days a week that people can attend with different providers. And you just sign up and register to be there.
Is there a charge for that?
I am not sure. I know that as mediums, we volunteer our time. I know that they had requested like a nominal donation, but I, as a medium who does not have a child in spirit, I am not a part of that group. So they are very mindful of letting people in, and they don't want mediums, they don't want anybody posting links or things like that in these groups too. So, and if you are not a member in that regards, you cannot be a part of it. It's a private group.
But the participants, is there a charge for that?
As I said, there's no charge to join the organization, but as far as the group readings, I know at one time they were charging $5, but I'm not for sure about that. But everything would be posted in that private Facebook group, as I said. But you can always go watch the videos that they post on YouTube. And of course, there's no charge to watch that. Mark Pitstick, Gordon Smith, he just did one the other day for them. So lots of different opportunities.
Okay. I just personally know 2 people that have lost children. So I'm kind of thinking about them as we're talking about that.
Yes. And as I said, it's a very helpful resource, and they encourage all beliefs. So they do their best not to bring any dogma, any fear. They want to uplift and remind people of the resources available.
I'm going to tell you, spiritual people are not into fear. That they are so totally the opposite. It's all love-based.
Yes.
It's all love-based, and it's wonderful. Well, now you got some books going on. Tell us about the books that you've
Yes, I've written a few books. So the first 2 actually started out as courses with the Daily Om. And then my guide suggested put them into book form because some people want to read a book and some people want to take a class, want to take a workshop. So 28 Days to a New You gives you 28 topics to focus on. And what you're doing is actually shifting your perception. And the second book, Connect to the You Within, gives you tips and tools to connect to your angels, your guides, and even loved ones in spirit. And then Journey into Consciousness is my story. It's my life up to my awakening, and awakening to when the book came out, which was actually 12 years ago. And in this book, it's in 3 sections. As I said, first portion is my story, but I also provide tools to apply it to your own journey. And then there's tips and tools throughout. And then my recent book, Embracing the Magic Within, is a compilation of personal stories, words of wisdom, and tools for your journey. And there are no chapters in this book because I was guided to create it as a type of divination tool where you can then say, what do I need to know at this time? And then just open it up. And if you're okay with it, Karen, I actually have a copy here, and we can see what the viewers and listeners are supposed to know at this time.
Absolutely.
So I'm holding this book here in my hand, and as I open it up, the page was actually a story that I shared, but it's talking about connection to self and wisdom within. So really connecting to your own intuition. There's a quote down here from Paulo Coelho that says, intuition is really a sudden immersion of the soul into the universal current of life. And this goes back to walking in awareness and that reminder that there can be different levels of awareness. Of course, as humans, we operate on our 5 senses, but the more that we tune in, we're going to have those heightened senses. And that's where we're walking in awareness in that way.
Wow, that was beautiful. I like those. I think, your books, I heard that it takes 28 days to form a new habit. And then 28 days to a new you. Is that to find out about your gifts and about your talents and bringing that forward?
Absolutely. And the idea with it too, you can work it front to back, or you can use it as a divination tool once again and just hold the book, open it up, and see what page that it lands on. And as I said, started out as a course with the Daily Om, so you can still write in it, work through it. These are available, of course, in paperback as well as in eBook as well, so you could scroll through it. But as I said, I'm giving the secret away because what you're really shifting is your perception. and how you view things. And I remind people that we always experience life through the lens of the emotion we're feeling in the moment. So when we're feeling healthy and well and balanced, of course, that's one energy. But if we're feeling a bit scattered or tired or even frustrated, that, of course, is another energy vibration.
You got a lot of wisdom, Shelly. You do.
Thank you.
You really do. So, and knowing me, I would have to go day 1, day 2, day 3. But the other book that you just open up, yeah, that's kind of cool too.
Yes.
Those are wonderful.
Thank
And
you.
how many more books do you plan on writing?
I think right now I'm just like hanging tight. I find myself here and I should even, blog more, write more, things like that. And things go in spurts, so sometimes I'm really inspired and sometimes not so much. So I've given myself grace because
Good.
even I years ago had a blog talk radio show for several years. And I keep thinking, I should do a podcast again. I should do this. And of course, I've not taken action yet because there's time involved. So I definitely commend you and commend Kelly for devoting time and energy for this platform.
Well, I had no idea I was going to be doing this late in life or ever. I hated selfies, and here I am talking on a camera.
Right.
But I will tell you, you meet the most amazing people, including you, and everyone has a different flavor, and it just touches your soul. So I'm going to say, when the timing's right, do your podcast.
Yes.
And it's going to be huge. Your energy is very bright.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very, very bright.
What we remember too is, yes, we all have a story to share, a message to share. And a lot of it is just allowing ourselves to be who we are and to not feel like we've got to be what someone else wants us to be too.
Right. And I'm glad that you've written 4 books. I just had a conversation with a friend yesterday, and she goes, I want to write a book. And I said, well, do it. Everybody has a story. Everybody has fascinating things. And she is a retired school teacher, and she wants to write books for kids. And I said,
I love it.
Well, see, I am too a retired school teacher. And I said, think of what we used to read. Are You My Mommy? Or Good Night Moon? We can do that too, but we can add a little more meat to that concept.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, you got cards too. You got books and cards. Tell us about your cards.
So I created some empowerment decks. The first deck that sparked this was back in 2018 when I created the cards of empowerment and took the pictures of the flowers and created a card deck. And those are since out of print for now. I'm thinking about creating a new deck just because I love flowers and love taking pictures of flowers. But I created the clarity card deck to coincide with the book, Embracing the Magic Within. Oh. And in this deck of cards, you can ask a question or ask, what do I need to know at this time? And then pull one card or as many cards as you're guided to pull. And I made the cards where they are very user-friendly. So once again, let's just see what the viewers and listeners need to know right now. So I'm holding the deck. I've already shuffled it to alleviate that noise of shuffling the deck. And I always like to pull random from the middle. So the message coming through for all of us, lo and behold, is embrace the magic within. It is that reminder of our essence and that reminder to live life fully and to do what makes our heart sing. The next message coming through here is just breathe. So as humans, we breathe naturally, autonomously, but this is also a reminder to breathe consciously. And when we breathe in that manner, it helps to shift energy. So when you're feeling dense and heavy, take some conscious breaths. Feel that body lighten as you relax. And I'm saying, what else do we need to know right now? And the message is attune body, mind, and spirit. So we are energetic, spiritual beings having a human life experience. And this is a reminder to see the wholeness, to take care of ourselves on that physical level, as well as the mental, emotional, energetic level as well.
Mm-hmm. That's perfect. And I know that right now everybody's taking some deep gut breaths, and clearing that up. Yeah, that's wonderful too. So those books, the book complements those cards very nice.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
It was
Have,
purposeful, very purposeful.
oh yeah. Yeah. Um, so have you ever had experiences when you're with past lives or reincarnation?
I have had some remembrances myself, and I also encourage people too when I tune into their energy. You know, there may be instances of patterns in their life, things, repeating relationships, health issues that we can always delve in and take a look at and see what's coming up. But you asked earlier about a story to share, so this is a
Oh,
fabulous story.
oh, good.
So, Karen, I know that you know Helen Reddy. Does that name familiar? I Am Woman, Hear Me Roar,
Oh,
the
yeah.
singer. Okay. So I met Helen at a Dolores Cannon conference in 2009. And
Oh, my
Dolores is
God.
well known for her QHHT, quantum hypnosis. Therapy technique, and it's a past life remembrance. Well, Helen was the keynote speaker that year, and I just so happened to have a trip already planned to Sydney, Australia the next month, that a friend invited me to join her there. She lives in Tokyo, Japan, and was going to be traveling there for work. And of course, it was a once in a lifetime opportunity. And then everything seemed to make sense because how things aligned. So I was bold enough to ask Helen, who is doing hypnosis therapy and past life regressions, if I could have a session when I was there. And she took a look at me, looked me up once and down, and she said, yes, you can. And then she gave me her phone number and told me to call her when I got there. Well, of course, my humanness wanted to confirm before I got to Australia. So I called her and she's like, yes, dear. I said yes. And got there at the designated time. I was laying on her bed, covered up by a quilt that she had made, and
Mm.
being guided through this past life remembrance that was very powerful and impactful for my own growth. And then I came to, and I was hearing a bird, and it was a kookaburra, and it sounded like it was laughing. And she's like, yes, it's the laughing jackass. That's what they call that bird. And so, of course, you know, I will have that memory forever. And that was back in 2009.
Oh, I didn't know it was called that. That's interesting.
Yes. Well, it was quite a sound outside the window.
That is, oh gosh. And she said, yes, dear. I told
Yeah.
you yes.
Yes.
But I'm like you. Are you a Virgo by any chance?
No, I'm actually a Sagittarius.
Okay, because yeah, we confirm and make sure everything's all
Yes.
lined up. That's a beautiful story. Dolores Cannon, man, that she's above my pay grade. That takes a lot to process for me. But you were able to do all that?
Yes, and you know what's fascinating too is you know, like Dolores is very normal when you look at her until she opens her mouth, and then there's
Yeah,
all of this stuff coming out, and she's just like a typical grandma, or
yeah,
appears that way once again until she starts talking. But I
exactly.
know too that because we are here to experience life and to experience, of course, different experiences, that things will come into our awareness once again. Things will resonate with us, or the timing will be right. You know, just like if you ever read a book and it just seems like you can't get into it and you set it aside, and lo and behold, you pick it back up later.
Yep.
It's probably the timing and what you're ready to receive.
I think I'll take a look at watch her on some YouTube and see if it processes it better for me now. Yeah, she's great. Is there? We're gonna have to wrap up soon, but is there anything that I didn't mention that you would like to mention too?
I think we've covered everything. That the only thing would be that I do offer classes online as well. So I teach Reiki classes online. I also teach development classes. And especially with the holidays coming up, I'd offer different opportunities for connections, because I know a lot of people are feeling a lot of different emotions, whether they're grieving or just need connection and community. So this is something that I like to offer. Support gatherings is what I call them.
Oh,
So
that's
I
nice.
think that's a good time for people to know that they're not alone.
What are do you have the titles of some of those classes in your head?
Everything that is available now is on my website, shellyrwilson.com, on the events page, but
There
there
it
will be
is.
other classes forthcoming too.
Okay, so more coming also.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, it was so enjoyable. You really got it going on. I'm not kidding. Very interesting. Okay, so I want to thank you so much for coming on the channel, and we will maybe connect another time.
Absolutely. And I just have to mention, Karen, notice no more barks after we mentioned it.
No more what?
No more barking.
I know. I'm scared to look. Yeah, she's just laying there, laying down now.
Yes.
I don't. She's usually quiet. They'll usually take off and run. If somebody's there, but she settled down, which is really nice.
Because we talked about let's just roll with it and be balanced, and that helps her too.
Yeah.
Good. Well, thank you so much for inviting me to join you for a conscious conversation.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much, Shelly. And namaste, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.